is view the applications you submitted. So if you've already linked your application, it's going to come under this one, under this section. That's your applications that you have submitted. And if it's down here, you'll be able to click on it and be able to um, track it. Once you go inside, they will let you know what they have done and what they have not done yet. And this section, continue an application you haven't submitted yet. This section is for applications, as the name implies, that you haven't submitted yet. So let's say I want to apply for a visit visa. You have to start the application from here. And once you start it, they'll put it down here. You don't necessarily have to submit everything right now or enter all the details right now at that particular moment. So whatever you're able to do here, you can leave and go back and finish it. So I think once you start an application, they give you, I think, 60 days or 30 days, one of them. And it will be here for you to know how many days you have left. So once you start an application, here's the application type, date you started it, and days you have left to submit. If you don't submit before the number of days runs out, it will close. They will close it, and you have to start afresh. Someone is requesting to join. Let me see. Okay, I am almost done, so I'll accept you, but I'll take your questions later. So if you want to join and ask questions on TikTok, you can send a request, and I'll get back to your questions later. So since we're already in the account, one thing I also want to do is to teach you how to start an application. So let's say you want to, and also teach you about the documents and the kind of requirements or what the documents all mean. So let's say I want to start an application. What should I use as an example? Visit or school? Okay, school. So if you want to, after creating the account, and now you want to apply for a study permit, all you have to do is go to apply to come to Canada, and they will ask you several questions. So please enter your personal reference code to begin your application. I do not have a reference code yet. This is when you use um, they always, on several places on the IRC's website, they have an express, they have a wizard, or should I say that you have to just enter some stuffs, and they'll give you a code, especially if you are using the express entry. You can use the express entry calculator to just check how many points you have, and if um you have enough points, they'll give you a reference code which you can keep. So when you come here, you enter it. Instead of starting everything afresh, they'll just take you straight to they'll just take you okay. So instead of starting everything from afresh, since you've already answered some of the questions, they'll take you straight to your application and populate it with the information you entered previously. So here we want to apply for a study permit. So I'll choose visit visa, study, and or work permit. This took a while to load up. Okay. So now that I'm here, they are asking if you are eligible to apply. One thing I've also noticed is a lot of people who come in my inbox. Like yesterday, I had someone ask me to help them fill some forms. I'm like, when you go, especially with Canada, I don't know much about other countries, but with Canada, they use grade 6 English to ask questions. They are not going to ask you any question with some big words that you don't understand. Everything is simple enough for you to be able to understand it and answer the question. So you don't have to overthink anything. Just answer. Like this one. What would you like to do in Canada? And they give you options. I said study permit. I want to study, so I choose study. How long are you planning to to stay in Canada? If I'm coming to school, it's definitely more than 6 months. Select the code that matches the one on your passport. So since I'm Ghanaian, let me say I'm using Ghana. So I choose Ghana here. What is your current country or territory of residence? If you are presently in Canada, you should select Canada. So I am assuming I am outside Canada and I am now trying to apply for a school and come to Canada. So here I'm going to choose that I am outside Canada, and let me say I am still in Ghana. If you are in any other country, you have to choose that country. You don't have to choose Ghana. Do you have a family member who is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident? I don't have anybody, so no. What is your date of birth? So you choose date of birth. Let's say let's just choose anything here. So this is not my date of birth, and I don't plan on entering my date of birth, so I just enter anything and then I come in here. Do you meet an exception from submitting a provincial or territorial attestation letter? As you all know, if you're applying for a school now, you need to submit a provincial attestation letter. So they are asking you prior to to submitting the application. So no, I do not meet any exception to submit a, PAL. I have to require to submit a PAL. So I choose no. If you do not meet an exception, have you been issued a provincial attestation letter from a provincial or territorial authority? So if you have already applied for a school, you've gained admission, the school would definitely take you through the process of getting your provincial attestation letter. So by the time you decide to apply for a visa, for a study visa, you should already have your provincial attestation letter. And that is what I'm going to assume now, that you already have your PAL. So, yes. I'm still in the middle of the teaching, so can we finish before I take questions? Looks like my Wi-Fi is being a bit slow today. Okay. So which province or territory is your provincial attestation letter from? So let's say the school I applied for is in Ontario. So I got it from Ontario. So I choose Ontario. Next. Are you a lawful or permanent resident of the US with a valid US citizenship or this number? No. So these are all questions that they ask you. So have you been accepted to a DLI? If you've already gained admission and have your admission letter, it means yes. Are you planning to attend post-secondary? Yes, post-secondary DLI. Yes. Post-secondary is any school after high school. So if you're coming to, whether you're coming to a college or university, is a post-secondary DLI. If you are rather coming for a high school, then no. A high school is not post-secondary. Okay, what is your marital status? Let's assume I am single. I am not single, by the way. What is your province or territory of destination? If visiting multiple, I am coming to school, so I'm coming to just the one province in which my school is located, so Ontario. Okay, so now they finally tell you you are eligible to come to Canada as a student. So we continue here. And they are going to ask you a few more questions so that they will know the exact documents that you need to submit for the visa application. So, do you have a valid work permit or study permit and need a visa to return to Canada? No, I don't have. Are you an exchange student? No. Is work an essential component of your studies? Yes, for most programs, work is part of it, and it's mostly called co-op on your admission letter. So in your admission letter, they will mostly write if co-op work placement is required. If it is there that it is required, you can always write it there. And one thing too about IRCC applications is if there's anything that you do not understand, they always have these question marks here. So this question mark is more like a hint. You can click on it and they'll ask what they would explain what exactly they mean. So is work an essential component of your studies? For some academic programs, work experience is part of the curriculum. So then you have to choose yes there. If on your admission letter it says no, then you have to choose no. So are you a spouse or common law partner or child of a certain skilled worker or of certain full-time international student that has or will have status in Canada? No. Are you a recipient of Commonwealth scholarship or a recipient of a full bursary covering all expenses from a Canadian International Development Agency, including Francophone scholarships, or a participant in a Canadian aid program in a for developing countries? No. So I go to next. Are you applying? Are you accompanying a family member that has status in Canada? No. Or has recently been approved to come to Canada? No. Have you ever been arrested for, been charged with, or convicted for any criminal offense in any country? No. Have you had a medical exam performed by IRCC authorized panel physician within the last 12 months? So some people are reapplying. So they've already done their medicals. And some people also opt to do their medicals before they apply. So if that is the case, you already have your medical. And one thing too you have to know is medicals is not just done anywhere you want. You don't just walk into any hospital and do a medical and say that is the one you submitted. No. IRCC have their own authorized physicians who will do it, and then you'll be able to use them. So if you want to submit your medicals beforehand, you can go to the Canada website and search for their authorized physicians in your country. Then you'll be able to go to book an appointment and go and do your medicals there in that particular doctor's office. You don't just do it anywhere you want, as I said. So in this case, if you are in Ghana, you can search, and they have about, I think, 3 doctors in Ghana, the whole of Ghana, who are allowed to do the medicals. And then you'll be able to do it and then submit it. So since, let's assume I'm going through the normal process, I've not done a medical yet, so I'll choose no. Have you visited or lived in any one of the designated countries for 6 consecutive months in the last year? Or lived in any one of the designated countries? No. Do you want to submit an application for a family member? That's in case you are married and you choose that yes, you are married, then you choose yes. But then I said I'm single, so no, I'm not applying for any family member. Are you giving someone access to your application? So sometimes you want to give access to an agent. So if you are using an agent, the agent will have to choose one of these, but then they'll also have to allow you to fill a consent form, which they will submit to IRCC for IRCC to know that yes, indeed, you have given them permission to have access to your account. And most of these agents are all registered by IRCC. So it's not just anybody who just gets up one day and say, I am an agent, I can help you with an application to Canada. So all those agents in all those numerous countries, Ghana, Nigeria, and all of that, none of them is recognized by IRCC. So over here, they will choose no. So if you are also doing it yourself, you still have to choose no. I will be appointing a rep to apply on my behalf. That's if you have a rep. Yes, grant authorization for IRCC to release information to another person. Yes, both appoint rep and grant authorization to release information to another person. So here, no, because I'm doing it myself. In the past 10 years, have you given your fingerprints? That's biometrics. If you give biometrics for a Canada application, visa application, it lasts for 10 whole years. So if you have ever taken a biometric within the last 10 years, you don't need to pay for or do another biometrics. So here you just choose no and you'll be able to just continue. There are fees associated with this application. Will you be paying your fees or are you fee exempt? Yes, I will be paying my application fees. Are you able to make a digital copy with your documents with a scanner or a camera? Yes, because your documents have to be uploaded here online. So you either need to scan them into PDF or use your phone to take good quality, clear pictures and submit. And you'll be paying here. So will you be paying your application fees online? To pay online, you must use a credit card. That's Visa, MasterCard, American Express, any of these. So yes, I'll use a card. So now they give you the questions they asked and all the answers you gave for you to be able to check in case you made a mistake anywhere. And I think everything is correct, so I click continue. So here is instructions on how to submit your documents and the steps. So the first step is use your account. You must be logged into your own account to submit an application. You cannot use another person's account. This is what I mentioned earlier. And you must save your application. Then upload your documents. And the last thing is to pay your fees. Then it gets submitted. So this is a document checklist. So when you're applying for a school, until you get here, you don't really get to know exactly what you submit. What I am submitting may be different from what you will be submitting, even though we are all applying for school. Sometimes it depends on your country. For some countries, you need to submit a police clearance upfront. For some countries, for a study permit, you don't need to submit a police clearance. So in this case, these are the documents that are required of me. So the first thing you do is so this is the fees attached to it, $150 for the study permit and $85 for your biometrics fee. So if you have already taken your biometrics previously, you do not pay this $85. So you only get to pay the 150. But because I am assuming I am a first applicant and I have never taken my biometrics with IRCC, then the total fee is $235. So if you are applying for a visa through an agent, how much do they normally charge you? So the exact fees you're supposed to be paying here is 235. And okay, I'm trying to convert this to okay. I'm trying to convert this to cities, Ghana cities, and let's see how much they are supposed to be paying. So per today's rate, 235 Canadian dollars is 2,568.98 cities, which is, let's run it up to 2,570, or let's say 2,600 Ghana cities. And yet, agents will be charging you upwards of 50,000 Ghana cities. The application fee itself is just like 2,600, 2,600, less than 3,000. And yet, agents are taking upwards of 50,000 Ghana cities to apply for a normal visa for you. And yet, they cannot guarantee that you are actually going to get a visa or not. Yes, it is a bit hectic, stressful to go through this whole process, like answering all these numerous questions and the likes. But at the end of the day, it is your own application. The least you should be able to do is spend your own time and just answer questions about yourself and apply for it yourself. If you do it once, it becomes easier for you the next time. And you will also be able to help others apply for this without going through agents. Somehow, for we Africans, we see corruption to be only when it involves politicians. If you hear a politician has taken money from someone to do whatever, then we all jump and start talking about corruption. Meanwhile, the average African is 100% corrupt because we have to involve other people. We have to pay people to do even the simple stuff for us. Even when you go into school, I'll use my time in the University of Ghana as an example. Even when we just going to register for the semester to do our enrollment, some people pay the security guys around so that they can jump them ahead of the line. And that is not corrupt because you are not a politician. When you have to apply for a passport, you have to pay someone to get you a common passport, which you are entitled to. And yet, we are not corrupt. It's only politicians who are corrupt. And this is the kind of thing I keep talking about. If you start exhibiting these corrupt practices from your childhood, from your youthful age, you are the same person who is going to grow up and become a politician and become that corrupt politician that you used to criticize when you were younger. So if we do not stop, then corruption is going to continue to exist in our countries, and we are going to keep complaining and complaining and complaining because why? The people who are supposed to do something about it are corrupt themselves. But well, that is not why I'm here now. So I'll just go ahead and show you teach you about the documents. Sorry about the call. So once you get to the your document checklist, there are, I think, 3 documents that you have to submit. You have to download. So with this is application for a study permit made outside Canada. You have to download this. So once you click on this, it opens a new tab. Let me share it. It opens a new tab, brings you here, and you have to download this document. So when you download this, I'm downloading it and I'll open it for you to see. Mostly when you download them on the websites, this is how they look. They tell you you have to update your Adobe Reader or your PDF reader to be able to see them properly. But you still have to download this anyway. And if you open it with your Adobe Reader itself or your PDF reader itself, it will show everything in there. So I'll take you through everything before I show you how it looks like. So here, so let me go back to the screen I was showing. So the document checklist. So we are back to the document checklist. So as I said, you have to download this. That's application for a study permit made outside of Canada first. And just hover your mouse over the document name and it will show you which ones you have to download. And you also have to download the family information document. And you also have to download the Schedule 1 application for a temporary resident visa made outside Canada. So yes, these are the 3 documents that you have to download and fill you don't have to submit anything for these three. So these are documents that are going to ask you for details about your school, your employment, like information about yourself. I cannot give you those information. You know it yourself. So you have to fill them. And then these are your supporting documents that you have to submit. These are documents IRCC is going to look at and decide whether they are going to give you the visa or not. So the first one, I'm going to go through all of them. So the first one is the evidence of work requirement study, or evidence of work requirement in study. Since we chose, when we were asking the questions, since we selected that work is a requirement for our program, that is why I told you look on your admission letter. If your admission letter says a co-op is a requirement, then you choose yes. If it says no, you will not be able to have any sort of evidence for it. But once your admission letter says yes, you can come here and upload your admission letter here. So in this section, your admission letter is enough. In this section, your admission letter is enough. If you do not understand it, you can also come to instructions and you see the question mark there. You can also click on it as I showed you earlier. So you must provide a letter or curriculum from your educational institution stating that work is a necessary requirement for the completion of your studies. This isn't something someone else can make up. It is either you have it or you don't. So just make sure you are going by what your letter says, as I have already told you. And then the second one here is your passport. They require you to submit a picture of your bio page. So you click on this blue, they tell you everything. You must submit a legible copy of your valid travel document, which you will use to travel. That is your passport. If you have a passport, you must provide a copy of the page that shows your birth date and country of origin, and any pages with stamps, visas, or markings. If you do not have a passport and must use another travel document, it must be issued by a government and include your name, date of birth, blah, 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 and all of that. But if you want to travel, I am sure you have a passport. So it is the passport that you're going to use. Just take a picture of your bio page, the page with your picture, your name, your date of birth, and all of that. Take a picture of it. You can even take a picture with your phone. So far as the details on it are clear, you are good to go. They are still going to ask you your passport details in your application forms, in these forms, anyways. So, but then you still have to make sure the picture is also very clear and submit it here. And then here is asking for your letter of acceptance or letter of enrollment. So, as I said, your admission letter, that is what you submit here. And your provincial attestation letter is also required. So you submit your provincial attestation letter here too. Here also ask for your proof of means of financial support. This is where a lot of people have problems with. So they require you to submit your okay. Do they have the minimum here? No, they do not write it. So yes. When it comes to this, you can submit as many documents as possible. They've given you a list of stuffs. Your bank statement for the past 4 months. That is what a lot of people use. But you can also use a GIC, as I said, that's a proof of a Canadian bank account in your name if money has been transferred, or proof of funding paid within Canada. That's if you have a scholarship. Yeah. So you can also use a GIC, which is an investment account in Canada. I have already made a video of it on my page, so you can go to either my YouTube or my TikTok and listen to it. I provided a lot of information about GICs, and you can just use that information, and that'll be good enough. But what most people use is the bank statement. You can use your bank statement so far as the minimum, you have the minimum balance, which is 20,600 and something. So I always tell people it's 21,000, just to be on the safer side. Plus, mind you, it's not just the 21,000. The 21,000 is supposed to be for your daily expenses in Canada, your living expenses in Canada, not your tuition fee. So it must be that 21,000 plus your 1 year tuition fee. Your 1 year tuition fee should be also be on your admission letter. So the 21,000 plus your 1 year tuition fee, that is the minimum requirement, minimum proof of funds. A lot of people just talk about their own currencies. This is Canada. Our currency is one Canadian dollars. So whatever currency that you have in your country, you have to convert to Canadian dollars and make sure whatever money you have is up to that amount. So let's say you are in Ghana and you have 10,000 Ghana cedis in your account. No one cares about 10,000 Ghana cedis. What IRCC cares about is convert this 10,000 Ghana cedis to Canadian dollars. And how much is it? Let's say it's $1,000. That means it's not enough. You don't necessarily have to convert the currencies of the money to Canadian dollars. You just have to make sure whatever you have in your currency is equivalent to the minimum requirement in Canadian dollars. And I've already had a lot of videos on this proof of funds. So you can go through my videos and get to know exactly what they mean and what is required and all of that. And they also require a digital photo. So you just get a picture of yourself. If you go to any professional photographer, they have the Canadian dimensions, and they'll just take a picture of you and you just upload it. And family information is just info. That's also another form that you have to fill with. I think it's your information. If you are married, your spouse, your parents, your siblings, and yeah, you provide that information too. And once that is also uploaded, you can upload this one too. And yeah, and that is it. So one thing is one thing I recommend people to do is to pay your tuition fees first. So if you pay your tuition fees, that means you now have a receipt of your tuition fees. So if you are submitting your documents, you have to attach this tuition fee receipt to your proof of means of financial support or to your bank statements and upload them together, because it also goes into the calculation of your proof of funds. So you can also add it and just submit it. And yeah, once that is done, you now come here, and once everything is submitted, they'll give you an option to now submit make the payment, and then that'll be it. So since I am not submitting anything, I am just going to exit question. And now that is it. Okay. Okay. So this takes me back to the main page. So because I started an application, it has now come under continue an application you haven't submitted. And this is it. So it tells me I have days to submit, left to submit is 60 days. So I have 60 days or 2 months to submit this application. Or if I don't submit within the 60 days, they will close it. But once I submit, it will move to this side, and then that will be it. I actually have a few exams coming up. So once my exams and everything is done, I'll come back here and I'll take you through express entry, how to apply for permanent residency in Canada. I'll do my best, and yeah, I'll take you through express entry, how to use the calculator, and get to know your points and the various categories that you have, the 6 categories, take you through it, and how to create an account. And yeah, that'll be it. Since I came to Canada with the express entry, that is where I would say I have a personal experience and have and know a lot about. Yeah, I now know a lot about many other applications, many other visa types, but I recommend permanent residency to people, because then you don't have to come here and pay all those huge tuition fees and all that. So if you do qualify for express entry, that is the one thing you have to be gunning for. So once you get it, you don't have to be thinking about policy changes and all of that.